There is a button humanity should never press. A button capable of ending cities, collapsing ecosystems, and rewriting the future of life on Earth. Fortunately, it has never been pressed. But the terrifying question remains, what would actually happen if it was? For decades, humanity has stockpiled weapons powerful enough to destroy the world many times over. Not dozens, not hundreds, thousands. So let's ask the forbidden question, what if every nuclear weapon on Earth detonated at the exact same moment, now? Before we imagine the explosion, we need to understand the scale of what we've built. Today, roughly 15,000 nuclear warheads exist. 2 nations control the majority. Several others hold smaller, but still catastrophic, arsenals. Numbers like these are hard to grasp, so let's translate them into something real. There are only a few thousand major cities on this planet, meaning, in theory, our current arsenal could erase nearly every large population center on Earth. Billions of people, gone within hours. And even then, we would still have weapons left. This is what military experts quietly call overkill. But this is only the beginning. I'm Evan Cole. Here we uncover facts that change how you see the world, fast, clear, and real. Welcome to Evan Cole Explains. Nuclear war is typically imagined as missiles crossing oceans, targets, retaliation, deterrence. But let's abandon strategy completely and imagine something far more absurd. Instead of launching these weapons across the globe, what if we stacked them together? One location, one detonation, one moment. Surprisingly, the entire global arsenal could fit inside a relatively small facility, silent, still, waiting. But hidden inside that space is an amount of energy almost impossible to comprehend. So now the question becomes, what does that energy actually look like? A single modern nuclear warhead can release energy comparable to hundreds of thousands of tons of TNT. Multiply that by thousands, and suddenly we are approaching forces normally reserved for planetary disasters. To find a comparison, we have to look to nature itself. In the late 19th century, one of the most violent volcanic eruptions ever recorded tore apart an island, sending shockwaves around the globe. Now imagine an explosion many times stronger, not natural, but intentional. And this is where things begin to escalate. 3, 2, 1. In less than a second, a fireball erupts, hotter than the surface of the sun. Everything nearby doesn't burn, it doesn't melt, it ceases to exist. The ground vaporizes, air becomes plasma. Matter itself briefly forgets how to behave. But the fireball is only the first horror. What comes next moves faster than sound. A shockwave explodes outward with unstoppable force. Forests collapse instantly, landscapes flatten. The atmosphere ripples as the pressure wave begins circling the planet, again and again and again. For weeks, the Earth quite literally rings like a bell. And then, something even more dangerous begins to rise. Millions of tons of debris are launched upward. Pulverized rock, burning material, radioactive particles. The mushroom cloud climbs higher and higher until it presses against the upper limits of the atmosphere. Sunlight begins to fade, temperatures begin to shift, weather patterns destabilize. But after the flames die down, the invisible threat finally arrives. Radiation has no smell, no color, no warning. Yet it spreads across continents, carried effortlessly by global winds. Large regions become uninhabitable. Ecosystems begin to fail, cancer rates climb, but strangely, human civilization might still survive. Damaged? Yes, but not erased. However, this is where the scenario becomes truly terrifying. Because now we must ask a far more dangerous question. What if humanity didn't stop at 15,000 weapons? What if we mined vast amounts of nuclear material and built arsenals approaching the energy of asteroid impacts? Imagine a stockpile so powerful, it rivals the force that once wiped out the dinosaurs. Now press the button again. This time, the explosion is no longer just destructive. It becomes geological. The ground behaves like liquid. Mountain-scale bedrock vaporizes instantly. Material is blasted into space, some of it never returning. And then, the sky begins to fall. Superheated debris rains back onto the surface, igniting firestorms across continents. The atmosphere heats dramatically, oceans churn. Global earthquakes shake the crust. Hurricane-force winds flatten entire regions. But the worst consequence is yet to come. Smoke and ash blanket the planet. Sunlight disappears behind a global veil. Temperatures plunge toward freezing, worldwide. Agriculture collapses, food chains break, ecosystems unravel, large animals vanish, and eventually, so do we. This is no longer a disaster, it is an extinction event. And yet, Earth survives. It always has. Given enough time, radiation fades, the atmosphere heals, life returns, new species emerge. The planet forgets we were ever here. But perhaps not completely. If intelligent life evolves again, they might discover a strange geological layer circling the globe. Thin, but unmistakable. Rich in radioactive elements, mixed with synthetic materials. evidence that a technological species once lived here and destroyed itself. They would likely stare at this layer in confusion, wondering what kind of civilization could become powerful enough to end its own story. The most terrifying truth about nuclear weapons is not their destructive power, it is that they were built by intelligence. Which means, if the end ever comes, it won't be an accident. It will be a choice. Before you go, remember this. The most dangerous weapons ever created are not hidden in bunkers. They are born in the human mind, because intelligence gave us the power to split the atom, but wisdom is what decides whether we survive it. And here's the strange part. The future of this planet will not be decided by weapons. It will be decided by people who understand the world deeply enough to protect it. So if you are curious about the forces shaping our future, if you want to understand the science, the risks, and the possibilities before they happen, subscribe now. Because the next question we explore might be the one that changes how you see reality itself.